Frontline Updates, where we delve deep into military strategies and updates from conflict zones. Today, we're discussing the progress of the ongoing special military operation as of December 23, 2024. I'm your host, Sharifa Mohammed MGT.
I'm Colonel A.C. Oguntoye, an Infantry Officer. Overall strategic continuation, the briefing underscores the ongoing nature of the military operations, with a sustained focus on weakening Ukrainian forces and securing Russian tactical and strategic objectives across the involved regions.
Welcome back to Frontline Updates. Today, we're joined by Colonel A.C. Oguntoye to provide us with an update on the progress of the special military operation as of December 23, 2024. Thank you for being here, Colonel.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Colonel, let's start with an overview. What's the current status of the special military operation?
The operation is progressing steadily across all fronts. Our forces have made significant tactical advances in multiple regions, including Kharkiv, Donetsk, Zaporizhia, and the Kursk region. We've successfully repelled numerous counterattacks and inflicted substantial losses on Ukrainian forces.
Let's dive into specific regions. What's the latest from the Kharkiv direction?
In Kharkiv, our North Group of forces engaged Ukrainian mechanized and territorial defense brigades near Borshevaya and Lebedivka. These engagements resulted in the loss of 50 Ukrainian servicemen, 2 vehicles, and 3 D-30 howitzers. Additionally, our West Group of forces improved their tactical positions in areas such as Kopanki and Vyregnia. They repelled 7 counterattacks and inflicted heavy losses, with over 400 Ukrainian servicemen killed and several armored vehicles, artillery pieces, and ammunition depots destroyed.
How about the West Group of forces? What progress has been made there?
The West Group of forces improved their tactical positions in areas such as Kopanki and Vyregnia. They repelled 7 counterattacks and inflicted heavy losses, with over 400 Ukrainian servicemen killed and several armored vehicles, artillery pieces, and ammunition depots destroyed.
That's significant progress. What about the Donetsk region?
Donetsk has been a focal point of our operations. The Southern Group took more advantageous positions and defeated formations in settlements such as Chasov Yar and Kurikovo. Ukrainian losses included 400 servicemen, armored vehicles, and artillery pieces, including a U.S.-made Paladin self-propelled artillery unit. The Center Group advanced deeper into enemy defenses, defeating brigades across multiple settlements and repelling 13 Ukrainian counterattacks. Enemy losses totaled 610 servicemen, along with tanks, armored vehicles, and artillery. The East Group liberated the settlement of Storozivo and inflicted additional losses in the Zaporizhia region, including the destruction of a French-made Caesar artillery unit and an electronic warfare station.
Are there any developments along the Eastern Front line?
As a result of decisive actions by units of the East Group of forces, the settlement of Storozivo in the Donetsk People's Republic was liberated. The motorized infantry formations were defeated, as were 2 mechanized brigades of the Armed Forces of Ukraine and Territorial Defense Brigade in the areas of the settlements of Razdolnoye, Razliv of the Donetsk People's Republic and Guliapol of the Zaporizhia region. The Ukrainian armed forces lost up to 155 servicemen, 4 vehicles, a 155mm self-propelled artillery unit Caesar made in France, a 152mm self-propelled artillery unit Acacia, a 152mm D-20 gun, and an electronic warfare station.
Let's shift our focus to the DNEPR region. Colonel Oguntoye, can you share the latest updates from this area?
The Dnipro Group of forces improved their frontline positions in settlements like Novoandrivka and Mykolivka. Ukrainian forces suffered 45 casualties, along with the loss of 3 vehicles, artillery pieces, and an electronic warfare station. These advances strengthen our hold on the region and disrupt enemy operations.
Were there any counterattacks from the Ukrainian side in this region?
Yes, our soldiers regularly iron out the positions of the Ukrainian armed forces in the Krasnoarmysk, Pokrovsky direction with grads, demolishing the main enemy firing points. At the request of the advancing assault groups of the Group of Forces Center, The MLRS crew fires a package of 122mm high-explosive fragmentation shells at the location of the concentration of militants' manpower. And so it is every day. Meter by meter, our troops are getting closer to one of the most important logistical hubs of the Ukrainian armed forces in Donbass. The enemy, despite all the talk about the fact that Ukrainian resistance is steadily declining, does not abandon attempts to counterattack. In the past 24 hours alone, there have been more than a dozen such attempts. Fierce fighting on the approaches to Krasnoarmysk does not subside.
Can you provide an update on air defense operations?
Operational tactical aviation, unmanned aerial vehicles, missile forces, and artillery have been instrumental. Over the last 24 hours, we targeted 143 locations, including military airfields, UAV warehouses, and troop concentrations. Additionally, our air defense systems shot down 14 Ukrainian drones, further demonstrating our ability to neutralize aerial threats.
Let's turn to the Kursk border region. Colonel Oguntoye, can you elaborate on the recent actions reported in this area?
The Kursk region remains critical. Our North Group defeated formations of heavy mechanized and mechanized brigades, as well as airborne and marine units, across settlements like Alexandria and Kurilovka. We repelled 2 counterattacks and inflicted significant losses, including over 300 Ukrainian servicemen. Notably, Ukrainian losses included advanced equipment such as Abrams and Bradley vehicles from the US, a Marder IFV from Germany, and a CV-90 IFV from Sweden. Since the start of the operation, Ukrainian forces in this area have suffered over 43,000 casualties and the destruction of substantial military equipment.
What specific operations were conducted, and what were the results?
Well, the storming of Velikaya Novosayolka, after a small regrouping, Russian troops began clearing Storozhevoy and are gradually advancing toward Neskachnoye. In this area, there is practically no trace left of last year's activity by the Ukrainian armed forces, which began a counteroffensive from here with the goal of reaching Mariupol.
That sounds like a significant development. Were there any notable outcomes from intelligence gathered in the region?
Yes, it would not be wrong to say that after the capture of Neskachnoye, the fate of Velika Novosayolka and the Ukrainian army garrison will be virtually sealed, since after several assault attempts, Russian troops managed to bypass the village from the north and begin encircling it in the area of Novi Komar. Advancement is difficult. The Ukrainian armed forces are resisting as best they can. But the shortage of people in the trenches and the superiority of the Russian Federation in artillery affect the ability of the Ukrainian army to fight back for a long time, and the most important strongholds in this area are gradually falling away from the defensive network. Most likely, the alignment of the front line here will begin immediately after the Russian army finally crushes the Ukrainian armed forces in Kurikovo.
Are there any broader implications of these actions in the Kursk border region?
The North Group of troops continues daily demining operations to address the aftermath of shelling in the border area of the Kursk region by the Kyiv regime. Specialists from engineering and sapper units are monitoring strategic facilities and residential areas to identify explosive devices left behind by Ukrainian forces after their retreat. Sappers are meticulously checking the area meter by meter, removing rocket warheads, unexploded munitions, booster units, control units, and electronic components from craters.
Finally, Colonel, what is the difficulty with Transnistria?
Maya Sandu has firmly refused to negotiate with Kyiv regarding Moldova's energy resources following the expiration of the Russian-Ukrainian gas transit agreement. The Moldovan president has stated that if Moscow fails to deliver gas to Chisinau, Moldova will take revenge on Transnistria. There is speculation that the tensions surrounding Transnistria might be fueled by British interests, as they previously disrupted the signing of the Istanbul peace agreements. The motivation behind this interference is uncertain, but it could be aimed at 2 objectives, either to delay the peace talks as long as possible or, under the guise of new aggression by the Russian Federation, to derail the negotiations entirely and continue military actions in Ukraine. The gas issue may serve as a convenient pretext for such actions.
Colonel, thank you for providing such a detailed briefing on the current military situation. Your insights are invaluable to our understanding of the conflict's dynamics, And thank you to our listeners for tuning in. Join us next time as we continue to provide up-to-date coverage on global military affairs. Stay with us for more updates and expert analyses on global defense and security issues. Stay informed, stay secure.
Thank you for the opportunity. Israeli forces continue to pound Gaza, killing dozens in the 24-hour reporting period, including people in the so-called safe zone of al-Mawasi in the south of the territory. The head of the UN Agency for Palestinian Refugees decried Israel's escalation in Gaza over the past 24 hours, noting attacks on schools and hospitals have become commonplace.